Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, Astro Pills Astrology. My name's Samuel Dudgeon, a doctor of Chinese medicine, acupuncture, herbal medicine, and I practice planetary astrology and Chinese astrology. And we're going to look at Jupiter in Cancer at the moment, and the new moon as well, quickly. And just a few updates actually, because I've just moved a lot of my videos over to Substack. Not off YouTube actually, but I've done a whole new series on cell salt stuff because I want to make things a bit clearer for people. Plus I'm also mindful of putting not too much kind of medical information on YouTube. So for those who are interested in all that kind of stuff and would like to subscribe to that, or I'm posting a lot of free content on there as well, but I've just decided to move over to that platform for that. And I plan to do a whole different, I'm doing a new series like I said on the cell salts, but I'm also going to tap into a lot more ways clinically of how to prescribe them in terms of cell salt combinations and things like this. So, and there'll be a lot more kind of esoteric information around that, which I aim to do. I just don't want to really talk about this on the YouTube platform so much, just with the current situations going on with, things to do with medicine, and just mindful of that kind of thing. So for those who want to join over there, please do. I appreciate it. And I'm going to just talk a little bit about Jupiter in Cancer, because I have a lot of patients actually at the moment. Funnily enough, recently I've done a few charts for people, and a lot of people are actually going through their Jupiter returns. And I think the Jupiter return is interesting because it's a 12-year cycle, and it's deeply connected to the 12 animal branch cycles in Chinese astrology. And so currently we're in the year of the Yinward snake, but then of course, at the moment we're in the Yang water horse month. Because remember, the branches change in months as well, as months, hours, and days, right? As well. So it's not just the year that's important. So, those who do understand their Barca Chinese astrology chart, you're always paying attention to even the day, the calendars, and the month, of course, and how the horse will play out and interact with your chart and this kind of thing. This is what keeps astrology alive. It keeps it vital, right? So we need to keep tabs on what's going on. But I think the Jupiter cycle, like I said, is a 12-year cycle. It is a beginning of a new stage in growth. And there can be, depending on, and this is the technicalities of astrology, right? When, if you're born in a day chart or night chart, and this is like to do with sect and things like this. So sometimes if you're born in a night chart, then Jupiter won't be as favorable, right? So that can be one of the challenges, even though maybe Jupiter's changing signs and ingressing into a sign, and Jupiter likes being in Cancer because it's in exaltation. It's the next kind of sign to rulership. So it's raised up, and it's, it feels positive in this sign. Jupiter in Cancer can give you, Jupiter generally, faith is your greatest ally. And I also think that it is connected to so many things. If we're looking at the medical point of view, anatomically it's connected to the liver, thighs, the pituitary glands. But the key concepts really are, expansion on the physical, mental, and spiritual levels, right? And there can also be, it's connected to benevolence, generosity, optimism, my ability to look into the future, far ahead, set really big goals, like the archer firing its arrow to the center of the universe. Jupiter, in its sense, is going to connect to our faith in life. So whatever sign it's in, whatever house it's in, it's going to connect, okay, where do I put my faith and optimism? What areas of the chart do they play out in? And it's also the quest, right, for understanding and spiritual values. Now, like I said, Jupiter returns the 12-year cycle, and, not only, I think a lot of people think they're going to have this massive windfall and influx of wealth and all this kind of thing, which in a way, in a certain sense, can happen, depending on, but there's a number of factors that need to kind of be applying to that in a chart. But I also think that the opportunities and expansion for growth at the time at this time, it does kick off a new cycle, like I said, but it's more the opportunities to become more wiser and more mature and get a wider variety of, or a broader understanding of what's happening in the world. But having said that, like, good opportunities can come into people's lives, right? And I've got a really good example of that, actually. But a friend of mine has started a business, and he's just gone right on his Jupiter return, and it's been transiting his 10th house. So for people who don't know, the 10th house is up here. That's what they call the midheaven, and it's the 12 o'clock part of the chart. And he has started this business, which it's turned out to be really, really successful. And interestingly enough, for those who are really schooled in astrology, when we talk about the lunar phases, this guy's been going through what they call a balsamic lunar phase. So it's the dark side of the moon, like the Pink Floyd album, and which in a way can be a deterrent, right, to starting a business. Because most people, when I see that kind of phase, I thought, oh, wow, you really don't want to initiate anything, just want to keep what you're doing and wait out to that period, because it's all about, the balsamic lunar phase is about endings. And anyway, so my friend has had this Jupiter transiting his 10th house, and it's during this phase, and I've just noticed, for the first time, actually, that I've noticed a high degree of success going through this phase, whereas most people, I think, really, really, really struggles for business and success. So he's had Jupiter transiting his 10th house, and I had a couple of his personal planets there, but it's also his Jupiter returns coming up into the 11th house, and it's also in Cancer. And he's just been killing it business-wise, and it's interesting to observe that. Now, Jupiter in Cancer generally seeks to improve itself through family values and emotional supportiveness, right? Because there's a need for sensitivity to the feelings of others in order to have confidence in self. And usually the emotional security is really well developed, because Cancer is that sign where it's a protective sign. It's connected to family and ancestry, and this is a lot of, we can put in a lot of our energy into this, into protective a so-called family lineage, so to speak. So, and they really do have an innate innate understanding of the human need for security, right? And usually express it more through giving and really giving and generous nature. Jupiter in Cancer can be. And what I was going to say is, that connection to the past and the connection to ancestry as well. And Jupiter in Cancer too, a lot of wealth can come through the family lineage from the mother's side, right? It can, because Cancer is connected to the mother, the maternal. And then also, I wanted to say as well that a lot of people, because Cancer is generally connected to the past, so a lot of people can enjoy studying history, things like this, because the Cancer signs all to do with ancestry, lineage, and they can have this connection to that and to wanting to really, really explore that and understand that on a really, really deep level. And a lot of people with Jupiter in Cancer can put faith into families, right? Their whole faith they can put a lot of energy into that. And so it's an interesting time, and it also is very important to pay attention, obviously, to where Jupiter is transiting in your chart out of these 12 houses, where it's moving, what sign it's in. And that all depends on the degree of the ascendant and things like this. And there's a lot of people talking about the astro weather on there, on YouTube, but I'm just giving my little spiel on it. I think it's a good opportunity for growth and expansion wherever it sits in your chart. And sometimes, like I said, when the Jupiter signs out of Sac, then it can be a little bit more we need to work harder on certain areas to grow and expand, as opposed to when it is actually favorable and things tend to really shift, and where Jupiter's a positive planet in our chart, we tend to have no problem with this, with expanding ourselves. And also, on a more, because Jupiter, the sign of Cancer actually rules the stomach, and funnily enough the elbows too in medical astrology, but also can be, it's a lot to do with the gut and the breasts and things like this. But Jupiter, depending on where it is, right, we can expand the waistline as well, right? Because Jupiter can expand, especially when it's transiting over the ascendant. I've noticed over the years that people can, get this full-fledged expansion of the waistline, all that kind of stuff. Put on a little bit of girth, so to speak. And I think the other interesting thing about this is we can see Jupiter's in Cancer here, and the other thing is we've got a new moon coming up on the 25th of the 6th in 2025 in Cancer as well. And so this is going to be an interesting time for people who pay attention to this. And new moon's about initiating projects and things like this. And obviously my Jupiter, because I got a Taurus ascendant, is ingressed into Cancer in the 3rd house. And I've been kind of more behind the scenes in a way, but also I've been initiating obviously a lot of content and writing, which is that, and the 3rd house is about this. So it's been interesting to observe all of a sudden that I'm putting things out more consistently than I ever have, even though I'm not that consistent on my YouTube channel. I try to be, but then I get caught up in clinic and things like this. But I think just a quick breakdown of the Sabian symbol actually associated with the new moon, because it's like it's a pretty kind of, the Sabian symbols I really look into every now and then, because I think they're really important to mull over, and sometimes they can be literal, but they're obviously they're allegorical, so it's important just to kind of mull these things over. But the Sabian symbols associated with it, they say it's an automobile wrecked by a train, right? And the theme is knowing when to stop. So the opportunity, right, that comes from this new moon coming up, because new moon's all about what we initiate, and then 6 months later it comes to fruition usually, or at the full moon when we're in a completion phase, right? So this is one of the cool things about moons. I don't talk about moons so much on my channel, but I really pay attention to my own moon and lunar returns in charts. Lunar returns are important, actually. A lot of people focus on solar, which is great, but lunar is good to know because your moon's going to be shifting from month to month. So it's almost like we know, where the hell am I going to be investing my emotional energy this month? Where am I going to be feeling more sensitive? Where am I going to kind of feel the need I need to seek security, maybe from month to month? And it's a really cool thing to observe. But this opportunity that comes with this Sabian symbol, right, is like knowing when to stop and take a break. Stay in control of a situation and don't be pressured by artificial or self-created deadlines. So I think what this means to me is that you need to just really step back and slow down. Don't go so full force, and it kind of makes sense in a way, because the Jupiter's an implying square to Saturn at the moment, right? And this kind of Saturn keeps Jupiter in check, because without Saturn, a healthy dose of Saturn, you can become extremely inflated in the ego and just have these grandiose ideas. Yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But if you don't have Saturn to pull it in reality, nothing ever happens. We all know these kind of people who talk, but when it comes down to action, they do nothing. So Saturn, a healthy dose of Saturn is good. And I look at it as that expansion-contraction dilemma. Jupiter wants to expand, but Saturn kind of wants to pull you back. So it's going to fixate and make you concentrate on things and bring you down, bring your ideas down to earth. And we've got this kind of square going on now with this tension going on in between it. But so what it's saying is, like, the risk from the Sabian symbol is saying guard against endangering your health by living your life on the fast track or forgetting that your first obligation is to yourself, right? And this is interesting because I think Cancer is one of those signs is where you kind of can deeply withdraw and connect to yourself, because it requires that sensitivity to be able to do that. So for people who, in my opinion, is with this new moon symbolism coming on from the Sabian symbols, is know when to stop, right? If you're really going hard, looking after your emotional needs, your family needs, things like this are going to be really, really important to pay attention to around this moon. So I just wanted to say that, and thanks for everyone who's already kind of gone over to my Substack. I appreciate it, and I'm going to be doing more videos, and you guys can comment below if anyone's listening to make a comment around this, any questions around Sol's Chinese astrology, what I just talked about here. I'm all happy for the engagement, or you can DM me and we'll speak soon.